Welcome in and welcome back. We are here with the 7th edition of the Weekly Investor. Hard to think that we've been doing this for nearly 2 months now, but we've got 3 stories and then 3 stocks that I will be watching this week. The first story comes to us graciously from Cathie Wood, who runs ARK Invest. She has been doing a weekly, basically fireside chat on her YouTube channel, which is just outstanding content. I cannot emphasize that enough. If it's not something that you're watching and you are interested in growth investing, in speculative investing, in the general direction of the market, it is a great segment to be watching. And thinking back over the weeks that she's been doing it, I don't think it really ages all that poorly. I think that most of the things that she outlines are ways of thinking and viewing things versus this stock right now looks like. You know what I mean? A lot of times when you get the CNBC, the Jim Cramers of the world, things like that, all of their commentary is very right now. Cathie Wood, a lot of the stuff she's talking about is forecasting and diagnosing the direction of the market, the direction of economies, the direction of innovations in general, and then relaying that to how one might be able to invest in the situation. It's all very intriguing stuff, and she talks about it so well. It's a pleasure to be able to watch, and I'm glad that they've decided to do that, and I hope they continue doing it even after the pandemic is gone. But one of the things that she covered in this past week's weekly fireside chat is how much Square and PayPal are sort of cleaning up when it comes to the small business loans and things like that with this with the government relief funds as they come through, because Square and PayPal are able to act quickly. I don't know if you've ever seen Jack Dorsey when he talks about Square, but basically what he says is, hey, we trust people. And I think that's okay until they get into some type of trouble. It is with a touch of the best meaning naivete, I think, that Jack Dorsey is approaching that part of the business. And hey, he hasn't been proven wrong yet, and they've been growing to an outstanding clip with Square. Really, it's been a long time as well since there has been a spec play in the banking type of sector. So I don't know about you, but it's something I'm looking at very closely, Square, just to see what happens there. But with Square and PayPal able to clean up so quickly on the small business loans, the larger banks, the dinosaurs of the field, the Wells Fargo, the Citi, the Chase, they're suffering from that because they are not privy to the money which must be distributed. Even though there is a smaller amount to be made from that money, the big thing that's going to happen here is there's going to be a lot of people say, wow, I didn't know this Square stuff was a real thing. And you can use it just like a bank. Square is being run very much in the way that Elon Musk said he had envisioned for PayPal before he sold PayPal. And one of the things that they've started, you can even invest in stocks on Square. So that's something I'm going to sometime in the not too distant future invest in some time in trying to figure out Square. I'm going to download the app, see what happens on it, see what it's like, see if it's got usability, see if it's user friendly. But yeah, it is a segment of the market that is tech meets banking. So there's going to be a lot of innovation there. There's going to be a lot of people that are chased out of town as well. The next story is that Daimler Chrysler, Volkswagen, and BMW Well, they're joining forces. They're joining forces to create an operating system. What? An ICE vehicle, an internal combustion vehicle, needs an operating system? Well, hard to say, really. We're going to be making a lot of moves in the electric vehicle field, they say, even though all of these players have suspended or severely punished their EV programs, I guess you could say. Their EV programs in light of the current financial situation as well as the pandemic. Um, but it makes me wonder if they are just getting together to develop this software, this um, operating system, or if they're also going to be joining forces to try and combat Tesla on the front of autopilot, which is a big side of a big side of Tesla's operating system to come. So you have to you have to feel bad for them, really. Um, I don't think I think that they were ready, the big automakers. I think that they were ready to face an uphill battle on EVs. I don't think that they knew that the uphill battle was coming on operating systems, as well as autopilot, as well as all of these different things that Tesla is innovating to disrupt things. I don't think they were ready for a war on all fronts. They were ready for a war on the EV front, and they were ready to keep trying to make the internal combustion engine just a little better. Just make it a little better. And boy, we could go EVs, but this thing is so much cheaper. It's popular, and we're finding all of these avenues by which we can make them a little more efficient. Wouldn't you like it if we just kept down that road? No. It turns out the world would not. And they are learning this all very quickly, and it makes me wonder, this story, if Ford and GM are going to join forces as well. And how much good would it do? Or would they join forces with the Germans and try to combat Tesla on that front by everybody joining forces and creating an operating system, or trying to revolutionize the autopilot, be the first to the robotaxi software? Where do the Japanese car makers come into this equation, who are still apparently stuck on cell technology? Betting on that. And is the sneak play here, and yes, this is our irony, is the sneak play here Chinese manufacturers who just steal intellectual properties from everyone else? Especially with Tesla in that market, is that the future? But China has been doing a really good job on their own as far as developing and innovating with electric vehicles thus far. So the sneak play might be that China on the up and up becomes the new Germany. I think that car manufacturing will always have a place in the United States, and Tesla is an American company. But I think that second, well, so Germany was arguably first tier, but second rung, because not everybody can afford a German vehicle. I think that what might be happening is that China might be sneaking into the future of the worldwide auto plays. So it's going to be interesting to see how that rolls out. And wouldn't you know it, there's something to talk about with Tesla. I'll be God damned. Tesla, and this isn't the drama news. I'm not coming at you with the drama news. Tesla patents new battery design and buys battery formation hardware from South Korean Hanwha. It cannot be seen at this point as a surprise that Tesla will be manufacturing their own batteries as well as the fact that they have something groundbreaking on the way at Battery Investment Day. I'm not sure why that's jumping like that. I'm not moving. I'm not moving. Quit free focusing. But I think that it's going to be very interesting. I'm going to have a video with speculation about Battery Investor Day, but maybe I should just make a weekly Tesla segment because, well, no one watches this anyway, but it would be less of this time that I would be putting towards Tesla. But 3 stocks that I will be watching this week. Number one, so again, I have to mention Tesla. I have put all the money that I think I can afford to towards non-dividend paying stocks, basically with Tesla themselves, as far as companies that have not yet cut their or that have cut their dividends. I'm not counting that. I just mean spec growth play companies, although I'm keeping an eye on Square, and that's going to be mentioned again probably next week. So I need to get back to dividends, and 3M, ticker MMM, surprise, is on that list as well. And it's a company that I do not own. It is currently trading around the $149 mark. The 52-week low that we saw in this panic is $114. The 52-week high that we saw right before the panic was $188. So we're looking at a stock that is right smack dab basically in the middle of its 52-week run, up and down. And, or is that rise over run? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. I'm not using the word correctly anyway. But right in the middle of that range. And it is an interesting play. The N95 masks are here to stay. I think that in lots of places around the world, it is common during flu season to just wear a mask. And it's very common if you think you're the sick guy, you wear the mask. It's never been like that in the United States. And I think this might be a turn to the fact to a place where that becomes much more the case. And what that does is it creates basically a subscription service for a company that's already paying a 4% dividend. Who wore N95 masks before? People in construction, people in hospitals. This is going to be one of those things like Band-Aids, which we're probably going to talk about a little bit later in this video, that people just have on hand. You've got a box of N95s. The real question going forward is going to be whether or not someone can swoop in and sort of become that main competitor and maybe take some of the mask market share from 3M. It has been crazy to see online the race towards. I had a friend who basically compared it. I don't know if she wants me to say her name, but basically compared it to a World War II type effort, with anyone who can sew making those masks themselves and selling them. Is that going to be the secondary market, which is a literal secondary market? Or is there going to be another player that jumps in and creates an N95 type mask? A Johnson & Johnson, for example, that say, I haven't looked into this, I don't know if these numbers even exist, say that on the mask market, N95 masks constitute 60% of the market, and the little flimsy ones constitute the other 40. I'm willing to bet that when this all shakes out, the little flimsy ones like this, right? Things like I have to wear it at work. That market share will shrink. The market share of independent masks, people who are making masks in their basement, selling them on Etsy or a side job, things like that, that market's going to grow indelibly. Undoubtedly, that market is going to grow. Does the N95, so you've got one segment, which I'm just making these numbers up, but I think it's worth thinking about. This segment shrinks. The independent segment grows. Does the N95 segment of the market grow to usurp whatever is the difference between these and independent masks, or does the N95 segment of the market shrink as well as a presumptuously, we'll say, Johnson & Johnson mask finds its way onto the market and becomes a real player? I think that's going to be something that's at least interested in looking forward to. But when you think about a company as large and as large a staple in the American economy as 3M suddenly having a subscription service of sorts, what does that do to the bottom line? Moving on, number 2, Johnson & Johnson. This stock is currently $149. The 52-week low is $109. The 52-week high is $157. This is a company that offers a 2.72% yield at these prices. They say they will have 600 to 800,000 vaccines by early 2021 for the coronavirus. The interesting thing to me about this play is, first off, Standard Dividend Company, one of the greatest dividend players that is out there. Research and development, R&D. Is this a company? This is a company that has a good pot of cash ready to deploy on research and development anyway. That's how they have stayed so big for so long. Are they going to be the ones to take the place to supplement or to outright pioneer vaccine? So one of the reasons vaccines take a long time to develop. We had no idea this was coming. So it's going to take a while for vaccines to be developed. You can predict certain things. Now, this might be a strain that no one could have predicted or seen coming. But if this was one of a host of coronaviruses that someone had identified and said, this one poses a severe danger, and this one supposes a severe danger, and that one supposes a severe danger. So let's just round those 3 up, and we're going to test some vaccines on those strains. We're going to go ahead and get that in the hopper. That's what research and development for this type of company is. So when you pair it with AI is the one that says, this is the strain, that's the strain, this is the strain. AI is a growing field. What type of research and development money is a company like Johnson & Johnson able to deploy for vaccine development and for artificial intelligence implementation? If they can play those 2 cards right, and there's no one saying they can. I mean, there's absolutely no predicting that at this point. We'll say it this way, whatever company does play those cards right is going to be at the forefront of a large windfall as things like this are planned for in the future as opposed to fretted. So things like this, we just went so long without anything like that, lucking out that SARS didn't catch on and just become massive, that X, Y, and Z didn't catch on and just become massive. We lucked out and lucked out and lucked out. We're going to have to look forward and say we cannot afford to hope that we luck out. And there's going to be some government money, obviously, thrown in the way of developing vaccines, in the way of studying those things. How much of that will Johnson & Johnson be privy? As well as how much of the research and development can they pinpoint on those things and be fruitful with? I think those are questions that are going to be big for Johnson & Johnson going forward. And like I said, you can't predict them, but if you're a betting man, what other company are you going to bet on? The third one, a dividend play that I will be watching this week, is LUV, Southwest Airlines. The 52-week low on this is $24.77, right about that $25 mark. The 52-week high is basically $59. They are currently trading at 27. This is a company, this is a sector that has not recovered yet, might not recover for a while. They currently have what, by today's math, is an 8.02 PE ratio, but they have a very, very clean balance sheet. The cleanest in the sector, as far as I could tell. And they have a $16 billion market cap. It does not seem to me, and they just got a pretty nice deal with Boeing, it does not seem to me that LUV is going anywhere. I think that Southwest Airlines will weather the storm, and I think that they will be profitable going forward. I don't know how long it's going to be before they touch that 52-week high of basically $59 again. But when you start looking at a dividend play, so Warren Buffett sold all of his airline stocks. No one knows why quite yet. It's possible that the airlines are getting a piss poor deal from the government for their bailout. It's also possible they're not, and Warren Buffett just got spooked. It's possible. He has not had a fantastic track record of late. One has to recognize that. So I am willing to bet long term on Southwest Airlines. And willing to bet long term when you're looking at something that in the next 3 to 5 years could more than double in capital, that's a growth play. If you can get into an airline on a growth play, it's a pretty nice deal. But those are the 3 stories and the 3 stocks that I have for this week. Let me know in the comment section what stocks you will be watching, if there are any stories I should have covered. And I hope to see you back for next week's Weekly Investor.